What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny Mac here. Just wanted to give you a heads up that if you are looking for a community that is open to discussion as far as mentorship, conservation, the wild, becoming a better person, and all of that, there is a group for you on Facebook, and it is called Soul Seekers. Soul Seekers, we are all about making ourselves a better person. We're all about making sure hunting lasts for generations to come and encouraging people to get plugged in. Whether you are someone who has something to give or someone who needs to soak it up like a sponge, this is a community for you, and I strongly encourage you that if you're on Facebook to join Soul Seekers, and if you're not on Facebook, hop on there just for that group. It is only going to be as powerful as we all make it. And so just remember that life happens for you, it doesn't happen to you, and that you can't outgive good. You can't outgive good, people. I want you to understand that, and I want you to believe it, because when we believe that and we lead with courage and we lead with intention, lives are changed, lives are transformed, just like on this podcast, transformation through primal adventure. Be blessed. Enjoy this episode. Talk soon. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Soulful Hunter podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mac. Through this podcast, I'm on a mission to transform lives through primal adventure and to spread my mission of mentorship as conservation. This podcast is powered by Washington Backcountry, a resource for all hunters, both new and old. To find out more about Washington Backcountry, go to wabackcountry.com or search for Washington Backcountry on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. The Soulful Hunter podcast is also proudly presented by the Crazy Elk Company. Based out of the state of Washington with products made in America, they are providing solutions with gear to problems you didn't even know you had. Their tag wallet is one of those solutions, and I had the pleasure of using it on all of my hunts this last year, and it is now a mainstay in my kill kit. The tag wallet is a water-resistant zippered pouch that comes with its own reusable zip ties to safely and securely store your notch tag for quick and easy access. For more information, go to crazyelkcompany.com and use the code SOULFUL with a capital S to save 20% at checkout. Be blessed, everyone, and as always, stay soulful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Hunter podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Mac, and today I am down at a wonderful and very surprising expectation of a trip at formerly the OSS Suppressors headquarters down here in Utah, down south of Salt Lake City. What town are we actually in?
It's Mill Creek or Murray area. Yep.
Okay, yeah. And I'm here with Jeff Davis. So if you guys listen to the very first episode that I recorded with Jeff, that was back in September, I believe.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, so here with Iron Will, and we're in town for the Hunt Expo for a Black Bear seminar. And Jeff, being a stud that you are, was like, bro, we got to get you down here. We got to get you down here.
You can't come to Utah and not stop by and see us. So.
I love it.
Having a blast.
So we're here. We're going to be talking all about suppressors. We're going to be talking about the E-form system, because on the last episode that we recorded, we mentioned that, and then we said we were going to have a follow-up episode, but it took a lot longer. Like there was this real big process to, is it going to come? Is it going to come?
Federal government, you know how that goes.
Right. When you deal with the government, there's always that. So, Jeff, welcome back, brother. It's nice to actually record a podcast in person.
Yeah, it's great. It's better than the computer. Yeah, definitely.
So much fun. Just got to tour the facility, got to shoot some of your suppressors, got to just really get hands-on, see the technology, see the designers behind the technology and everything that you guys have in the works, which,
top secret
stuff.
Yeah,
top secret. If you're listening to this, you're going to have to destroy this episode afterwards. It's going to self-destruct in 10, 5, but no longer OSS Suppressors.
Right, yeah. We just recently went through a rebrand name change, so we are now known as Huxwrx Safety Co. So the idea behind that is the OSS name is still alive. We still make OSS suppressors, but with the Huxwrx Safety Company name, we're also going to make other safety products. So other eye protection, ear protection, potentially, some body armor, different types of clothing, things like that. So the word HUX actually stands for human exposure. So we are going to make a whole line of safety products that protect you from anything you could be exposed to while you're out shooting or operating if you're a law enforcement agent. So
Sweet. And then works as in it works.
it works, yeah. It's I think it's kind of a common thing to do in the gun industry to put works at the end of your name. And there's several companies that have that. So
Yeah.
we're just following the trend on that, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like Soulful Hunter works.
It does
There you
work.
go.
Iron Will Weber works.
Yeah, it does.
I love it. I love it. Iron, is this the very first time you ever shot a suppressor?
It's not the first time. I shot a suppressor on our
Oh, yeah,
223 out on the coyote hunt, and I've dabbled a little bit, but shooting one on a handgun, we shot a 9mm with a suppressor on it today.
That was
That was the first time doing it.
yeah.
It's probably the first time shooting in an enclosed area. I
Yeah.
guess, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Only been out. Well, really, just the coyote hunt is really
Yeah.
where I shot suppressor.
But when you're focusing on an animal, you don't really think about
Not at all.
the gun and the weapon and all that. So
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, and Jeff, no blowing smoke up your can, right?
No pun intended.
Oh.
Did it?
We're blowing smoke out your can because one of the things that I notice, and listeners, I'm not, I always make a dad joke when I'm teaching. It's like, I never lie. The only time I lie is when I go to sleep at night, when I lie down in bed. And kids, eye roll right there. But in reality, so I shoot a Silencer Co. Omega. And I'm not throwing them under the bus because I love the product. The issue is it's super gassy.
Right.
And Huxwrx is specifically designing your technology is not matched by anyone else.
Right. Yeah. So we developed the flow through technology. We have the patents around it that basically prevent the blowback from coming back down the barrel into the shooter's face when the action opens on a semi-automatic platform. So keeps the gun cleaner, keeps your lungs cleaner, your eyeballs cleaner. Basically all around, it's healthier, safer for you to shoot with a flow through suppressor than it is with a baffled suppressor.
And we got firsthand with that today.
Yeah,
Very close, closed environment shooting,
Mhm.
and there was not much gas at all.
Yeah. I mean, there's always going to be gas when
Sure.
you're dealing with suppressors, but it's not in your face.
Right.
Well,
And
even when we shot yours, when we were at the range, because we shot in that little cabin when we were at the range, and even when we shot yours, I noticed a big difference.
Right.
Yeah.
Super gassy, man.
Super gassy.
It's like hot on your face, like you're sprayed with mace. You know what I mean? I'm going to keep that rap going right there. But in all reality, that flow through is superior.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's a game changer. It's that's why OSS has been known for holding the most military and law enforcement contracts globally, not just here in the US, but we kind of hold that market, and we're proud of it, like that's why we're still keeping that OSS name going. Although you will see the Huxwrx name more often kind of in the forefront there.
Okay, so let's expand on that a little bit, unpack it for the listeners, because rebranding is hard to do. It is hard
Especially
to
in this
rebrand
industry.
yourself.
Right. It's there's in this industry being heavily licensed and regulated like it is, rebranding means you got to apply for all those licenses. You got to change the name, not just on your website. We're not just making a new website, but there's a whole background deal that we had to go into. And, we may have received some criticism from a few comments online, but overall, we've received a ton of support for the name change. A lot of people realize that, it's a little bit difficult to make safety products when the name of your company is OSS Suppressors. So by switching it to Huxwrx Safety Co., we can offer a whole line of products that we, it would have been a little bit more difficult to offer under the old name. So.
Dude, I totally get it. I actually had branding issues with Washington Backcountry, right? Because what does a person in Tennessee or Florida care about the state of Washington?
Right.
So that's actually when it came to the podcast, I called it Soulful Hunter because that crosses borders. That goes sea to shining sea in this beautiful, beautiful world. And then also why I called the show on Carbon TV Soul Seekers. With the Washington Backcountry logo, that's like the umbrella to it. But mentorship as conservation should not, and I do use the word should specifically right there.
We usually don't should on people.
Yeah, we never should on people. Should be nationwide, worldwide. I mean, the mission of loving people and investing in others, like, it should not be restricted to the state border just because I'm in Utah. The state
Yeah.
of Washington seems really far away. What does it
Yeah.
really matter?
Well, and I think your guys' message resonates, globally. Anybody that goes out hunting, whether it's they're just their first time or they go out and they introduce other people to it, that whole hunting mentorship is conservation.
Yeah.
Most of us have thought that at some point in our lives, or if it's the first time we're hearing it, it resonates with us. It makes sense. Like I've introduced literally dozens of people to hunting, and I feel that same way. The reason I enjoy doing that is, first of all, to see the excitement on first-time hunters' face, and second of all, we're adding another member to our team. To help
Yes.
advocate for legislation that helps what we're our hobby, our industry. So
Man, it's good stuff.
yeah.
Okay, well, enough about me. Like, I appreciate that. Thank you. So, suppressors. Let's dive in to we talked about the rebranding. So everyone, by the way, throw out the website. You can still go to OSSSuppressors.com.
Yep, and we'll route you to Huxwrx.com.
So spell that for listeners.
So just take out the vowels. So Huxwrx.
Okay.
So that's
Huxwrx.
Huxwrx.
And then .com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So don't get confused, listeners. And there's a reason why, and there's always intent behind everything. So make sure to check it out. I will tell you firsthand, the flow-through system is special. So when everybody in the backcountry world of hunting, right, is like cutting ounces.
Oh yeah.
You guys don't make the lightest suppressor.
Right. Yeah. It's got more guts on the inside. So yeah, it is slightly heavier than your lightest baffled suppressor, but we do have a titanium line. Our 556 titanium and our 762 titanium are very lightweight for the work that they're doing. In the performance that you're getting out of them, they are incredibly lightweight suppressors.
Yeah.
So
And then the other thing when it comes to suppressors and what is the word? People that are buyers. What are consumers?
Consumers.
There we
Yeah,
go. In the consumer world, people are always like ounces and then decibels.
mhm.
So is your suppressor the quietest on the market, or what? How does that have to do with your flow through technology, or how does that work?
I can already see people commenting in the comment section of whatever post you're going to post this on, because there are literally a dozen different ways to measure sound. We do SPL testing, sound pressure waves, basically, is what we're measuring. But there's really no standard in our industry, and there's a few guys out there trying to create a standardized method for measuring sound on suppressors. But we tend to lean more towards the way the military measures it. So we'll measure, just off the muzzle. We'll measure at the shooter's ear as well. So we are the quietest, or one of the quietest suppressors at the shooter's ear. That's where our focus is.
And I think that's lost. The other thing is your human ear is not going to be able to tell the difference between 3 decibels.
Right.
Oh, this one's like 119 versus 122 or whatever.
Well, and every company that's advertising their decibel levels, they're shooting in optimum conditions with optimum,
Sure.
barrel lengths and ammunition. Everybody's tweaking it to make their suppressor look the best, is what it comes down to. And that's the dirty little secret of our industry, So that's why there's such a push to standardize the way that decibels are measured on suppressors. So hopefully, there's a lot of good stuff coming from it. There's a few guys out there that are realizing this, that marketing has really tainted the consumer's opinion on what suppressor out there is the quietest, because they're just looking at numbers on a website instead of actually going out and shooting side-by-side comparisons with suppressors.
You guys are putting them through all sorts of motions, different environments, different settings.
Yep, definitely.
Rifles, ammo, everything.
Yep, different barrel lengths.
I will tell you this. So we shot a 16-inch 5.56
Mm-hmm.
down there in an enclosed area. So already it's going to be louder to the human ear than what would it be outside.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't loud.
Yeah.
And I was expecting to feel like echoes or like some wave shock in an enclosed container environment. I didn't feel it.
Yeah.
I was very impressed.
Did you even really notice it? I was just
No,
having
and
fun
I-
shooting the gun. I wasn't even noticing the sound.
And no smoke being
At all.
blown right here. Like, I want one.
Yeah.
I want multiple.
What we should have done is shot unsuppressed, so you could have felt the difference between the two.
Yeah.
So maybe after this episode, we'll go down and shoot unsuppressed a little bit.
There we go. That's awesome. But no, for real, I see it. And here, let's hammer this. I really want the listeners to understand this. The numbers that you see on a website, there's no standard to sound measurement. So when somebody, Thunder Beast, Silencer Co, whoever, I'm just throwing out names. At the end of the day, if they're not measuring sound decibels the exact same way you are, it's apples and oranges.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get comments from people all the time. Well, on my iPhone says that your suppressor is 150 decibels. It's like on your iPhone, we're
It's
using
not built for this.
We're using tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to measure decibels. That's where there's such a discrepancy in the industry. Is everybody's using different equipment. The mic is a different distance from the barrel or the action or the shooter's ear. There's just no standard way to measure it.
Well, that
yet.
And the other thing is being a DJ, you're in the audio business, right? So yeah, I can get a microphone that picks up my voice and projects it over my speakers. And there's a big difference between microphones.
Oh yeah.
A huge difference, and you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
And so, not to beat this dead horse, however, firsthand experience, I was impressed. And
that's usually what it takes with our flow through suppressor. That you'll hear a lot of rumors out there that it's loud and it's a gimmick. But every single person that we've introduced it to, whether it's at SHOT Show Industry Day or they come to our facility here and do some test firing, they're absolutely blown away that it's as quiet as it is. It's not gassy, reduces recoil, comfortable to shoot. They have a real pleasant experience shooting it. And I know you've done a podcast with Al Morris before, but he's one of my favorite examples. He came to us a couple years ago with an AR and a 243 caliber. That the company that built it for him told him, you will not be able to suppress this gun. It won't function suppress. Sorry.
Really?
And so we said, come on up here, bring the gun. Let's go shoot it. First shot out of the barrel, gun cycles just fine. And he unloads the magazine and just lost it. He's a loud guy, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Big Al.
Big Al. And he just started yelling and screaming we were at an outdoor public range. And we thought the RSO was going to kick us off the range because he was being so loud. But he got excited, and that's what it takes to be converted to flow-through suppressors. You actually have to put one in your hand and go shoot it.
Okay, and I just got done talking. I forget the guy next door. Who was
Cody.
Cody. Shout out to Cody. If you listen to this
our
episode,
operations manager.
So talking to Cody about opinions versus perspectives, and in order for you to gain a perspective, you need to have an experience.
Yes.
And when you have an experience, then you can make a actual judgment upon something.
Yeah.
Because I know firsthand,
Yeah.
it's, I know it because I lived it. I don't know it because I read it in a book or I read it on a website or I heard it on a podcast. And so that is firsthand, powerful.
Right.
Which the reason I'm saying this is because what you ended up telling me earlier is that you guys might be shifting facilities so that you can bring the public in to shoot your product, and that right there, that's a game changer for sales.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes in the pipeline for our company. It's going in great directions right now. We have a lot of new management in the building, and we're all excited. We've already started to see a huge uptick in energy, in traffic as well for us. And part of that's going to be the new facility that we're moving to. It's going to have a couple of indoor ranges, one for testing, one for the public. And we'll have a storefront there.
Fantastic.
And, have people come in and try it before you buy it, so to speak, so they can see the difference.
And this isn't like Las Vegas. It's like, oh, let's go to Las Vegas and let's go shoot some full autos and all that. It's like, no, you get to potentially take something home with you if that's what you want.
Yeah, we could do all the paperwork there, and we'll get into it here in a minute, but the new ATF forms process, potentially 90 days later, you could be going home with your suppressor.
Wow.
So,
come on, baby.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed right now. Okay, so I went to the ATF's website. You have to pre-sign up for the e-form.
Yep, so it's eforms.atf.gov. So the customer and the dealer have to have a login to that website and a PIN number as well. So the way you basically sign your paperwork now is with that username and that PIN number. So you want me to describe the whole
Yeah,
process
dude,
now?
yeah,
Okay.
take us through that.
Yeah. So it's all the same questions, all the same information you put on the paper form, but now it's all electronic. And so it's done on the dealer's username on their login. They'll log in, they'll put in all your demographic information. They'll pick out the serial number from the list of serial numbers that's registered to that dealer. They'll add that to the list there, to the paperwork or whatever, the form. And then at the very end, when you go to certify, there's an option for the customer to type in their username and their PIN number. You generate a unique 4-digit PIN number.
Mm-hmm.
That's your top secret way of signing your NFA paperwork now. So, and then at the same time, you can punch in your credit card information, pay your $200 tax stamp on the same website, and they will charge you right then and there for it. So you can also upload.
And you don't need a trust for this.
You can use a trust if you want, but you can.
But you have to digitally upload it?
Yep, you can digitally upload the trust, the picture as well, your passport style photo, and then also your fingerprints. So that's where I think a lot of dealers are shuffling right now, because most dealers don't have the capability to capture electronic fingerprints and store it.
I saw on your desk you got a fingerprint.
I do, yeah.
machine.
That's an expensive little machine there, and
I'm
that's
gonna have to give you my fingerprints before I leave this
Absolutely.
place. Like, hey, put me.
yeah. And
Don't put me in the system, but put me in the system, please.
I think you'll see more and more dealers realize the benefits to buying one of those machines. It's an investment up front, but it's going to be worth it. They can. The other thing is, though, the dealer can still capture your ink and paper fingerprints as well, and mail those in after submitting your electronic application. So when you submit the electronic Form 4 application, an email gets sent to the dealer and to you, the customer.
Mm-hmm.
And in that email is a copy of the application with a watermark across it that says submitted. And then there's another file that is a cover letter. So you can print that cover letter, put it in an envelope with your paper fingerprints, and mail it to the ATF. And they'll match it up with your electronic application once it arrives. So, and they're still saying that even with those paper fingerprints, they're projecting a 90-day turnaround time on forms. So,
The government is weird.
oh yeah,
Like,
that's a soft word. I would have picked up.
like 90 days. Like, such an arbitrary number.
It is, in the from what we've gathered from our local ATF guys around here, is they've told us that the big backup is with the FBI check. So that is, typically when you go to buy a gun at a gun shop, they're running a NICS check if you're in a state that does that, or it's running through the point of contact of that state. So here in Utah, we run our checks through BCI, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, and then they bounce it off of NICS, which is the National Instant Check System, and that's how they get their approvals that way. But really, to buy a suppressor, and we've had this conversation with our local ATF agent, he's actually really advocating to do away with the FBI portion of these Form 4 checks, because nowhere in the law does it say
Doesn't say
the
anything about it.
ATF has to do an FBI check. So he's really pushing to just make it a NICS check, and that's a 20-minute process at that point. So I think the big delay, there's two big delays, is obviously their backlog. They've experienced an increased volume in applications, so they just don't have the staffing and the funding to pump those through as fast as they can. And then the other delay is they have to wait for FBI to respond to the background check.
All right.
So,
Don't answer this if you feel like, when it comes to business or personal belief or whatever. If you want to, do it.
okay.
The concept of suppressors is like there's been a rush on them lately, it sounds like, because people are very afraid that they're going to get outlawed soon.
Yeah.
Have you been hearing that, like the rumblings within the.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time. We don't feel that it's going that way, though. We feel like
Okay.
it's going the other way, that it's going to be easier. At least we're being optimistic and hopeful that it's going to that the government's going to back down. But that's the hard thing about government, is they're collecting $200 for each one of these applications. When was the last time you saw a government agency turn down revenue? Once they get
Their hands in
their
it.
hands in your pocket, it's very hard.
I
to have them let go of that.
I called my local city when I bought my very first house, because, you buy your first house, you're trying to budget. You have no idea what it costs to heat a house, the water, all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
So about 6 months into owning my very first house, I get a letter from the water department. They're like, hey, just let you know your water bill is going to be going up. And I'm like, excuse my language. They're like, what the fuck, man? I call them up. I go, is my water bill going to be going down?
Ever?
And they're like, no, actually, it more or less just trends upward.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is the point? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And so, excuse my language, but it pissed me off because, they're not that's money. Why would I ever give up money?
Yeah. So
They
we're
never give up money.
We're hopeful with this, next election cycle that we'll gain some ground there. But we had.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I just dropped an F-bomb on this podcast. Hey, edit this out.
Yeah, but the last presidency we had that super majority, and we didn't really see much change for us, and it's just ironic that under this current administration, the e-forms process was launched. It's actually quicker and easier now to buy a suppressor under this administration. So I think a lot of that was just coincidence. A lot of this has been in the works for years, but just a coincidence that it was launched under this current administration.
What about the Hearing Protection Act?
I don't know. You don't really hear much about it anymore.
No, that kind of died after the first 9 months.
Yeah, it did. So I don't know. Hopefully there's some fire put underneath it again and it lights back up. But for now, not much.
You know what I think that's all about? I'm going to put it on your guys' shoulders as a company. You need to start getting these politicians or different people in the building to experience it.
Yeah.
I
agree.
You want your ears to be protected. You want, everything to sound better. I'm a homeowner. I live in the county. I live in unincorporated. I hear gunshots all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I don't really want to hear gunshots. I'm pro-gun. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm pro-suppressor.
Right.
However, if suppressors were a lot easier, it would make everything more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Your neighbor wouldn't be so upset at you if you have acreage that you can shoot on, and
Yeah.
you're not scaring the cows or the dogs or whatever. I mean, it really just ripples out to anything.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit it on the head there. When you said that you gain these experiences and you go out and you try something, and then you have a realistic opinion after that point. You have an educated opinion, and I think that's the problem with a lot of the legislators is they don't have much experience shooting suppressed. They think it's like Hollywood and only assassins are shooting suppressed.
Yeah.
And, so I think it is. Maybe we
Ninjas.
we need like a mentorship, conservation, or
Mentorship is conservation.
but for legislators.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Okay, now my gears are turning. My Huxwrx gears are turning. Okay, so Will, I'm shifting this bad boy to you.
Yeah.
You experience suppressors.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Oh, now I'm getting one.
Yeah, he was
Let's
down there
go get my
shooting, say-
fingerprints
yeah.
right now. No, I'm definitely going to get one.
Yeah.
So you're new to hunting.
Yeah.
2 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Was a suppressor ever on your radar?
Not before this hunting season. And I mean, night hunting the coyotes made a lot of sense. But then also I just built a new rifle this year, and then shooting suppressed, I could see a lot of advantages to hunting suppressed.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's
I
fun.
could list them off, but I think I did the last podcast.
Yeah.
So
Quickly, hammer it for new
So
listeners.
basically, you're saving your hearing, your hunting buddy's hearing. You're not scaring away the animals. If you miss, you can get a follow-up shot. You're keeping your gun cleaner, so it's more reliable when you're in the backcountry. There's less recoil, which means better accuracy as
Mhm.
well. So, honestly, I could probably keep going on, but those would be the key points as to why I personally hunt suppressed. It's for those reasons right there.
So the hearing protection, it's mind-boggling how much people do not put emphasis on protecting your ears.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about from the youngest of ages. You'll see parents have
not just shooting. It's all sorts
yeah,
of
just in
Yeah.
like life.
Music and movies,
yeah.
theaters, yeah.
And so when guys who hunt with big bore calibers,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see that they'll carry like earplugs with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like in my hunting career diving into it, I was like, why do they have hearing protection? Well, if they have hearing protection, how are they going to be hearing the animals and nature and all that stuff? And so there was this real disconnect in my mind. And then I was like, oh, okay, they're just quickly putting them in before they shoot. And I was like, well, what if they jump an animal? Because this is like Western Washington, thick stuff where jump and shoot.
Oh,
Y-
yeah.
You know,
Yep. You don't have time to put earplugs in.
right.
Yep.
But if you're in a terrain where, spot and stalk style and the animal's there, it's like, okay, let's get set up. Let's wait till it's a good position. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is earplugs, you lose them. Maybe you forget them. They don't help with you becoming a better shooter. They don't help your buddy if he forgot his earplugs. I love shooting guns. I want to shoot my gun more. I don't want to put more pressure on my gun.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Especially when you're hunting too. I mean, your setup and everything is, you say, an animal runs out in front of you or you get on one, all the things you're already trying to process through your shooting setup and your motions and everything, and remembering to put earplugs in, and
it's just
not
another
it's
thing.
it's another thing.
Yeah. Well, and they've done studies that have proven that for every year you hunt unsuppressed, you're losing 7% of your hearing. So
Wow.
it doesn't take too long for you to be deaf. Most older guys. I used to work at a gun shop, and I was surrounded by a lot of old guys, and you had to shout at them to talk to them because they've hunted their whole life unsuppressed, and they're deaf in one ear at least, if not both. So
Yep.
yeah,
Dude, being a DJ, I mean, people don't understand this about DJs is that if the music's not, maybe you understand as a person out in the crowd, if the music's not loud, it's going to suck. You
Yeah.
got to crank that music. People
Mhm.
have to
That
feel
feel it,
they have
yeah.
to feel the music. Well, in order for me to know the next song that I'm going to play, I have to hear the music. And so I'm constantly having to hear the next song on top of overhearing the song that's being played. Like my ears are wrecked. And my wife, I'm sure you're married. I'm sure every wife's like, how come you can't hear? How come you don't hear me when I'm saying? It's like, no, I literally sometimes can't hear you unless you're looking at me and I get like the mouth. That's
Yeah.
why the whole concept of masks, take them off, man. Little
Oh, yeah.
children are having disabilities for reading and speaking and language problems because there's the disconnect with the mouth
Oh yeah.
and the verbal
Mhm.
language and all that. But
Luckily, that's starting to go away now. It sounds
Oh.
like we're starting to turn the corner here. So.
I'm knocking on wood.
That's all right,
man.
everybody. Mask podcast coming next.
Yeah,
there you
sorry.
go.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, but when it comes to suppressors, like it shouldn't be as hard. It should not be as hard.
what
to
what
protect-
is negative about them?
Yeah,
Right.
It's,
Do you care about the health of people?
well, it's
Doesn't seem like
it
it.
literally comes down to legislators that are anti-gun. It's what it comes down to, and they will tell you any little lie or exaggerate any tiny little truth that they can to benefit what they're trying to push. And unfortunately, suppressors have caught a bad rap here in the U.S. where you go to a lot of European countries, you're actually required
The hunt suppressed.
to
Yes.
hunt suppressed. Yeah. Because it's it's a safety issue at that point. Your physical safety is in danger when you're shooting loud guns. So and OSHA here in the U.S., they're concerned in any industry that has loud noise,
OSHA.
except the gun industry.
Insert eye roll.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say no one saw that one right there.
So yeah, hopefully it continues to get easier, and maybe one day we'll get them unlisted off the NFA or do away with the NFA.
You just think how much Huxwrx would blow up if it got unlisted.
We've already seen a huge increase just on the launch of the e-form system. A lot of guys I think were hesitant to jump into the commitment of a 10 to 12 month wait
Mm-hmm.
to get a suppressor and pay the $200 and not go home with it that day.
I waited over a year for my first suppressor.
Same here. Yep.
Over a year.
Yeah. And I think my dealer probably sat on it a little bit longer than he should have, but I also waited over a year, unfortunately. But we've had some guys get approved in 100 days. We've had 5 months, 6 months. We reached out to the ATF and asked them, hey, what was special about those guys? Why'd they get approved so quick? ATF told us, well, we were doing beta testing on the new eForm system, and they were part of that batch. So that's promising to us to see that their beta testing was able to crank out a handful of forms in under, in that around that 90-day frame. So, it's right now we're beginning of February. They just launched eForms around Christmas, so we haven't hit 90 days yet. But in March, we'll start to see hopefully some of these forms come back that we submitted back then, and we'll see whether or not the feds are telling the truth on this 90-day promise. So,
Man. Hey, are you guys branding your suppressors now Huxwrx? It's like all the ones that are going out the door as of the beginning of 2022. Are they still saying OSS on them?
So that's a great question. So that's actually my job right there. So I do all the compliance stuff. So we engrave the suppressors with the manufacturer's name of OSS, but there is a brand on there that's the Huxwrx brand. So both names technically are on the suppressors.
It's like a sailor, right? It's like Sally cross out, Betty cross out.
Just keep changing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so our plan for now is to continue operating that way, both names on the suppressors. OSS has really, we love that name. It's what's made us. We don't want to go away from that name per se. We feel like we can do a lot more with the Huxwrx name. So they're both operating, we have open licenses for both. And OSS will still be around for years to come. It's just, it's going to kind of take a back seat in the public eye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys already developing some of the additional products that you guys are going to be?
We are, yeah. So there's, you guys met our engineer today, Dave Sanders. He's great at what he does. I know they're in the process of developing a whole new product line of safety gear as well. So can't say a whole lot about it at the moment, but along
Why
with
not, Jeff?
well, you guys got to see some stuff that I won't mention on here either today, but. We're also going to launch a new suppressor line as well. So,
Sweet.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty neat.
Any teasers?
When we turn the mics off, probably.
Yeah. So I'll give you 2 teasers. So
Excellent.
lower price point and 3D printed.
Oh.
So yeah, I think that you'll see a lot of that coming out in the industry in the next few years as well.
Okay.
So it's neat technology.
Okay, here's a question about 3D printing.
Mm-hmm.
Does it take American jobs?
So
maybe that don't answer this.
Well, the 3D
because someone still has to run the printer, right?
Yeah, and we're printing here in America still. Somebody has to assemble the build the printers, make the printers,
Maybe that was
assemble
a bad question.
It's not a bad question, no.
Yeah, I'm not super involved in that, so I'm sure any of our machinists would argue, yeah, it's taking jobs, but there's still a post-op that has to be done.
No.
Yeah, so there's still some
valid.
There's still some machining work that has to be done.
Yeah.
Sure.
You can't 3D print threads; those still have to be cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's still CNC machining work is not going away at all. If anything, it's going to increase quantities that we're making, and we're going to have more of a need for machining these post-op.
Now, are you guys 3D printing here in your facility?
Not currently at the moment.
Okay.
No. Yeah, there's.
But the plan is when you guys
Bring it in.
Yeah, there's actually only a few 3D printing, metal 3D printing machines in the country.
Okay.
And they're becoming more and more affordable.
I was gonna say,
yeah,
probably a bit of coin for one of those.
Oh yeah, they're pricey, but they pay
The
for
cheddar.
themselves pretty quick.
Yeah, the big cheese.
The big cheese.
The big cheese right
Yeah.
there.
But it's the neat thing about them is just how quick you can crank things out. You go from I don't know a 10 to 20 minute cut time on some suppressors down to just minutes, and you can crank out high quantities, and so you could almost make stuff to order at that point instead of having inventory on the shelf.
So you guys were running a pretty sweet deal back in Black Friday or December holiday time. What almost like a free suppressor, if I remember correctly. What was it? It was free tax stamp.
They were covering the tax stamp.
Yeah,
cost
we'd cover the $200
purchase of a suppressor.
That's a great deal.
It is, and you'll see, periodically that comes up. Not just with our company, but a lot of suppressor companies run similar deals, or even the distributors, like Silencer Shop, for example. They'll run free tax stamp deals.
Mm-hmm.
as well. Or, sometimes you'll see buy a suppressor, get a 22 suppressor for free. So,
And that right there, that's the jam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the deal that everyone needs to go with. Because if you want to have fun, like there's a difference between fun shooting center fire.
mhm.
But if you want to have a suppressor that is suppressed, like silent, 22 is
Oh,
where
yeah.
the fun comes in. It'll make you giggle like a little kid. Like,
Yeah, shooting subsonic 22 through a suppressor is just tell your neighbor's cat to watch out at that point. So.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, it's quieter than pellet guns.
Oh, definitely, yeah,
Like,
definitely, yeah.
without question.
Yeah, and we've I may or may not have done some testing in a backyard in city limits, but yeah, there are definitely some benefits to shooting suppressed 22 with subsonic 22s. So.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And all the trappers out there,
Oh yeah,
I mean, dude,
yeah. If you're
money.
carrying a trap line pistol with you or something,
urban
Gross.
trapping or like domestic,
yeah,
city limit trapping.
yeah, super quiet and you're not disturbing everybody around you. So
Well, city limit trapping. I guess you can't shoot firearms and it doesn't
It's neither here nor there.
that's where
Right.
choke pulls. Yeah, catch pulls or choke pulls.
Oh man, I love it. Are we leaving anything off the table that we haven't covered that we want to make sure we hit?
No, I would just say, if there's any company to watch the next 6 to 8 months, it would be Huxwrx. There's so much coming down the pipeline, lots of energy, lots of new announcements. So I'd say keep an eye on all our social medias. We're on all the major platforms.
And okay, so let's talk about that for a second.
Mhm.
Do people who follow like OSS suppressors on Instagram, for example, do they have to now refollow Huxwrx or
No,
it's just a name change?
Switching
yeah,
over.
we were able to switch it over there.
Okay,
So,
but as far as tagging companies, because I like to tag companies every now and then,
yes.
I have to find tag at Huxwrx.
Yeah. So you will have to do that, but we're still using the hashtags, OSS suppressors and Huxwrx. So
Okay.
if you're using hashtags, go ahead, keep using them. But if you want to actually tag us on your posts and have us reshare them in our stories, search for it's Huxwrx _Safety _ Co on Instagram.
Okay.
So,
I'm a huge fan. Maybe I'm a fanboy. It's the consumer in me. When a company loves to repost consumer pics.
oh yeah,
And it's
Mm.
like, oh, dude, they
Yeah.
just
time.
reposted my pic.
oh yeah.
You know,
It's a good marketing tool for sure. Yeah.
phenomenal marketing tool.
Yeah.
Cryptech does it really well. Initial
Descent
Scent does
does it
it
great.
really well.
Mhm.
I don't. Maybe I'm missing.
They've been two of our bigger ones that have done it. for
Graybo
sure.
gun stocks.
Mm.
You buy a Graybo gun stock, put it on your gun, and you take a picture of it and send it. They like to repost the stuff.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, well,
I love that.
if you think about it from the company's perspective, it's quick, easy advertising for them. They just literally 2 clicks and they reshare your posts, but they gain a lifetime follower from you right there.
Right.
You're blown away. Plus, anybody that you follow or people that follow you, you repost it on yours, and it just snowballs from there. So
Absolutely.
it's a good tool.
It's really, the power of community, right? I was always told it's not what you know, it's who you know, right? Well, if us as humanity just stay in this constant little box or bubble, like, oh no, I only do this, and the state of Washington, the Seattle freeze is what it's known as, is like you walk down the sidewalk and people won't look at you.
Oh yeah,
They
my
won't
sister
talk to
lives
you.
in Seattle. I don't know if I told you that, but
Okay.
yeah, I've experienced that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, I went to Montana over winter break, and I had the most wonderful conversations with people.
Mhm.
It's like, if that is the type of world you want to live in, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. And when it comes to hunting, when it comes to the Second Amendment, when it comes to guns, suppressors, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's how you carry yourself, how you show up in the world.
Mhm.
We've been playing a mean, nasty game of phone tag for a while, and
Mostly my fault.
but the fact that you called me up and you're like, hey, you're coming to the expo. Do you want to go ice fishing? Do you want to go do this? Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin on that. But like, that's the type of stuff people need to just put themselves out there. No risk.
No reward.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, that's the cool thing about this industry is, there are some bad apples in any industry, but for the most part in ours, you can network like crazy, and you can, like, I would have never met you if I didn't didn't know the Fox Pro guys, and
Mm-hmm.
and I would have never known them if I didn't know the Cabela's guys that introduced me to them. So it's all these networks that you can develop, and it's not too hard to do. We have a coworker here that went to SHOT Show with us this year, and I was trying to teach him, SHOT Show or any of these expos we go to, it's what you make of it. You can't
Yes.
you can't just sit there and not go out and put yourself out there and introduce yourself to other people. And
Relationships are everything.
yeah, definitely, especially in this industry, most people are open and accepting and willing to listen to what you have to say and become friends with you and help you out if you have any questions. And yeah.
Is humanity inherently good, or is humanity inherently evil? Right?
Yeah.
It's
I think humanity in the gun industry is inherently good, but depends on what industry you're in.
But that's the thing, is like, okay, the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Like, look
Yeah.
someone in the eye, shake their hand firmly, speak with confidence,
Mhm.
and this world's your oyster.
Mhm.
You never know what doors are going to open. And here we are, sitting here in the headquarters of Huxwrx Safety Company, formerly known as OSS Suppressors.
And we have had a great time today, man. I want
Phenomenal.
to really thank you
You
for
picked a
having
good
us
day
out.
to come. We had a little retirement party for one of our guys here, and you're able to get some treats and some food and stuff too.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
perfect timing.
Some sweet swag. Dude,
Yeah.
your
Oh,
guys' whoever ordered your new product.
I got to give credit to Jay Neely. I got to give him a shout out there. He's been
Guys
the
are-
brainchild behind all that. He's our creative director. And
Well,
he's- yeah.
he chose the right
Yeah.
threads.
You guys are going to be getting some tags, that's for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Probably because he's from Washington. I hear a
Well,
lot of good things
you
about
know,
guys from Washington.
My wife is from Washington, and she's a pretty good one. I love it. Well, listeners, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Soulful Hunter podcast. If you have more questions in regards to suppressors, reach out. Not only reach out to me, not that I know everything, but I'll definitely connect you. Jeff, where can people, how
You
they
guys
get a hold
can
of-
literally call our front desk. Our phone number's on the website. You can call it if you have compliance questions. You can get transferred straight to me. I'll talk to you about it. We got our whole sales support team here, marketing team. Whatever your question is, we'll have an answer for you. So
Excellent.
yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if you got questions. Get your answer from the source and not from some forum in the deep dark depths of the internet somewhere.
And life is now, right? There's no better time to buy a suppressor than right
No.
now, because if you're going to have to wait, you're
Yeah.
only going to add longer wait time to.
Well, if you get on now and you get your paperwork submitted, you could have it before hunting season this fall. So the sooner you do it, the sooner you get it. Just submit the paperwork and forget about it, and one day you'll get a call from the dealer.
My spring bear hunt's May 11th. April 11th, March 11th, February 11th. Dude, is today the 11th? No, today's the 10th. Maybe I might be under that 90-day. Dude, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's
We'll wrap this baby
Let's
up.
go hit those fingerprint machine. Everybody, thank you so much for coming and listening to this episode. Jeff, thank you so much,
thank
brother.
you guys.
You're
I'm
amazing.
glad you could come to town and meet you in person.
My
and It's
pleasure.
been a great visit.
Thank you so much.
Iron Will, savage.
Dude.
As always. Everybody, go check them out. We're going to make sure that once I get an opportunity to get one of the suppressors in hand, I'll be able to write a full review for the website. If you are interested in some of the gear reviews, we have some up at backcountry.com, or you can go to soulfulhunter.com and then go to the gear review tab. But also, if you could leave a review for this episode, share, subscribe, comment, whatever it is, it helps drive traffic, and knowledge is power, and it's all about that mentorship is conservation. So the more that gets out there, the better this world becomes, and everyone, cannot outgive good. So everybody, hope you enjoy this episode. Freedom on. I'm Johnny Mack, and as always, stay soulful. If you enjoyed today's podcast, I'd love it if you could go ahead and give this a rating as well as subscribe. Also, you can check us out on Instagram under the Soulful Hunter Podcast. Make sure to tag us in pictures and posts and use the hashtag Soulful Hunter. To find out more about the Soulful Hunter Podcast, go to soulfulhunter.com and be sure to follow the podcast, as we are going to be bringing you a lot of great information, insight, and changing lives through primal adventure. I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Stay tuned and stay soulful.